Hello, I'm Phil Mollen, energy psychotherapist, and this little talk is about the universe as a hologram, narcissism, and the self. Concepts that you might not expect to be related, but I'll explain how they are. Okay, so just a few years ago, two eminent theoretical physicists, Leonard Susskind, and a Dutch physicist, 't Hooft. I've forgotten his first name, but 't Hooft. They proposed this holographic principle. And it's actually based on observational and mathematical studies of black holes in the cosmos. And it had been mathematically reasoned that the information about what is inside a black hole is all contained on the spherical surface, the outer horizon of the black hole. And so they came up with this broader holographic principle, really the idea that the entire universe is holographic. So this is what they wrote. This is from Susskind's book. Here is the conclusion that 't Hooft and I had reached. The three-dimensional world of ordinary experience, the universe filled with galaxies, stars, planets, houses, boulders, and people, is a hologram, an image of reality coded on a distant two-dimensional surface. This new law of physics, known as the holographic principle, asserts that everything inside a region of space can be described by bits of information restricted to the boundary. So it's like any volume of space that you can imagine, from the very tiniest to the vast galactic or cosmic. The information about what's contained within it is inscribed on that surface of that boundary of that volume of space. So it's a little bit like a rainbow. You could never actually get that close to a rainbow. You can never touch a rainbow because wherever you are, it is somewhere further out. And so the boundary of space where the information is encoded is always further out. So they continue that that information is distributed throughout the volume of space seems so intuitive that it's hard to believe it could be wrong. So information is not distributed throughout space. It's always contained on the boundary around whatever volume of space we're talking about. Susskind concludes, the world is not voxelated, it is pixelated. All information is stored on the boundary of space. It's quite a curious idea, but the image there represents it, that all the information in that sphere is actually encoded on its boundary. Come back to that in a moment. A hologram. I mean, a normal hologram is formed by two lasers beaming at an object, and they form an interference pattern, and then the interference pattern is recorded, imprinted, and then when that interference pattern is illuminated again by a laser, you get a holograph, what appears to be a three-dimensional object. Now, of course, they're not suggesting that there's some fellow sitting outside the universe shining a couple of laser beams and creating this hologram that we exist within. They don't really explain how the hologram is created in that way. They just argue that the information of what's within a volume of space is on that boundary. Now, we can throw a bit more light on this with the Holographic Anthropic Multiverse theory of Richard Amoroso and Elizabeth Rauscher. Now, they propose that our four-dimensional space-time, so 3 dimensions of space and then a fourth, the dimension of time, space-time, that space-time is subtended within a larger multidimensional, 12-dimensional manifold, and that our universe is therefore a holographic subspace of what they call the unified field. And this image is based on images in Amoroso and Rauscher's book of their theory. So the film-like image here is in line with Susskind and Tooft idea of the all the information is encoded on like a two-dimensional surface that surrounds any volume of space. This two-dimensional surface. Now, Amoroso and Rauscher suggest that this two-dimensional space, that the two-dimensional film around any volume of space, is pixelated by the tiniest possible functioning units that they call the cosmological least units, and that there's like the teleological light, we call it light, of the unified field that pulses, beams through these tiny functional units, the least units, that are throughout the universe, everywhere, but they're always creating the hologram, the physical hologram of any volume of space. And these least units are pulsing the higher dimensional energy from the unified field into the quantum realm and into the physical matter realm. Now, then we can also then think about the self as a boundary phenomenon, the self as a small hologram, holographic entity within the larger holographic space that we all inhabit. So the whole idea of a self, a human self, is a boundary phenomenon. So the healthy self, our sense of self, has boundaries which are semi-permeable. So they're flexible. We let others in to varying extents. We exchange information with our environment. The boundaries are not rigid. They're functioning optimally, so that we know we have a self, but it's flexible. It interacts, exchanges information, exchanges energy with others, with the environment. And what happens when we are traumatized? We might say that the boundaries of the self contract. The field becomes defensive, rigid, energetically dense. It curls in on itself, becomes much less open to others, much less open to the environment. It becomes more of a closed field. Then other states of self they're too diffuse, or porous. The boundaries dissolve too easily. Such a person feels easily invaded by others, by sensory stimuli, or by the thoughts and emotions of other people. They may feel they have to hide away in order to get some relief from the continual bombardment and invasion by stuff from the environment, stuff from other people. And then a narcissistic state of self. It's like there's a hyperinvestment of libidinal energy in that boundary of self. The boundary is hypercathected, and it becomes mirror-like. It's amplifying the self-image, and it's reflecting back whatever comes to it. It's like a closed hologram within the larger hologram, a self-contained echo chamber, reflective light that is coherent. So very narcissistic characters can in some ways be well-functioning. They can appear ordered, coherent, if you like, but it's a pathological kind of coherence. And this image just expresses that a bit more. That it's a self-referential hologram. It's coherent but closed. And the light is circulating within the self-image, but endlessly looping back on itself instead of radiating outwards. It radiates outwards, but then it curves back in on itself. And so libido is trapped in that self-reflection. And the narcissistic field's energy is invested in maintaining that mirror-like quality rather than in exchange with the larger hologram. So narcissism becomes a dense attractor field that can appear to others as attractive and desirable, but it's ultimately profoundly unsatisfying, both to the person who's trapped in that narcissistic state and also to anyone else who tries to have a relationship with such a person. So in energy psychotherapy, the kind that I do, what we have to try to do is help the person open up that closed hologram, open it up to the higher attractor field of the unified field, the higher energies, the higher coherence that can be genuinely nurturing, and to release the person from that imprisonment within self. I hope this has been of some interest. Thank you for listening.